Hello everyone, my name is CA Rohit Grover. I'm your faculty for CA Final Paper number 3 Advanced Auditing and Professional Ethics. So today's YouTube session is going to be on how to write the answers relating to professional ethics, right? So welcome you all to the Unacademy Live CA Final. This is the YouTube channel where I'm coming live on every alternate basis at 5:30 to 6:30. So right now my RRB batch is going on the Unacademy platform. If you are really looking for, or if you are a November 2020 student or May 21 student, you can go to the unacademy.com and there you put my name CA Rohit Grover and you will find the total RRB related schedule over there. Already 14 lectures are over. 14 lectures have been completed in that particular case, and in those 14 lectures we have already completed company audit, we have already completed the professional ethics. We have completed 200 series, 500 series, and right now 700 series is going on. So on the YouTube also I have already uploaded the two lectures. We have already had a two lectures on RTP, we had a two lectures on company audit, we had the two lectures on professional ethics. This is my lecture number 7 on the YouTube relating to question and answers of professional ethics. So I welcome you all to the Unacademy again. So let's start with the question answers. Now, what are the different types of question answers they may ask you and how you have to proceed? Look at the question number 1. What they may ask you is, what is the distinction between the two schedules? Now, if you carefully analyze this question, this is asking the distinction between the two schedules. As we know that distinction between the two schedules means what? Ki there are schedule number 1 and schedule number 2. We all know that schedule number 1 is taken care of by the Board of Discipline. And what are the three powers of the Board of Discipline? If they find out that ki yes, your particular offense is guilty of professional misconduct or other misconduct, then they can reprimand the member. They can reprimand the member. They can give you the fine up to. They can put the fine up to rupees 1 lakh, and at the same point of time they can also cancel your membership up to how many years, up to how many months, 3 months. So if you carefully analyze, when it comes to the schedule 1 and schedule 2, schedule 1 is less aggressive as compared to the schedule 2. In the schedule 2, it is being carried out by whom? Who takes care of all the offenses relating to schedule 2 and both the schedules? That is nothing but called disciplinary committee. So when the disciplinary committee comes, first of all the fine, the disciplinary committee can put up to rupees 5 lakhs, and if they want they can cancel your membership number and certificate of practice, membership and certificate of practice permanently also. So what is the answer for this kind of question? With what is the distinction between these two schedules? You can say that schedule 1 is less strict as compared to the schedule 2. Now let's see what the answer is going to be. The two schedules are distinguished on the basis of gravity of misconduct described therein. The misconduct, you can see that the misconduct listed in the second schedule is understood to be more grave and more serious, prescribing the higher punishments. So that is what the I wanted to discuss with these small kind of cases with you. Whether a member in practice permitted to undertake the management of NRA funds or not. Remember one thing, you all know section number 2, subsection 2, clause 4. We all know this is known as MCOS, management consultancy and other services. So again I am writing what is the section number. Section number 2, subsection 2, clause D or clause 4 talks about management consultancy and other services. In the management consultancy and other services, we do not have such kind of any service relating to managing the funds of NRIs. Are you getting the point? So no member in practice cannot provide any kind of such service because it is not permitted under MCOS, management consultancy and other services. So no, a member in practice is not permitted. As such, it is not covered under the management consultancy and other services specified by the council. So I'm just trying to make you aware about the small questions to the large questions. So I'll try my level best to cover the maximum number of questions over there. Can a chartered accountant in practice provide the portfolio management services? We all know our answer, no. He cannot provide the portfolio management services, again under section 2 subsection 2 clause D. MCOS में specially लिखा हुआ है, you are not allowed to give the underwriting, you are not allowed to give the pub services, basically portfolio management, underwriting and broking services when it comes to management consultancy and other services, right? Okay. Let us understand the next point. Case study number 4. Can a chartered accountant undertake a practice after getting a CA final pass certificate? No. As per our provision, you need to clear your CA final, you need to clear your GMCS, and you need to clear your what do you say, the 3 years of articleship. Once you are done with all these formalities, you need to obtain a membership number. After that, you can apply a certificate of practice. So no, a chartered accountant requires a certificate of practice issued by the institute after getting the final CA pass certificate as a chartered accountant. Right or not? After getting the CA final pass certificate, no, you can't practice. You need to hold a COP, certificate of practice. You can't practice just like that. After clearing your CA final, you need to hold a COP. You need to apply for a certificate of practice, right? Then only you can go for a practicing thing. Can a chartered accountant in practice work as a collection agent? You cannot work as a collection agent, but yes, you can recommend them. You can recommend them who should be your collection agent as for the management consultancy and other services. No, a chartered accountant in practice cannot work as a collection agent, as a management consultancy and other services specified by the council do not permit such engagement. Sir, banking sector wala one point is there in that management consultancy and other services. There you can be a consultant to the recovery agent. You can't be the recovery agent, but you can be a consultant to the recovery agent. I hope everything is crystal clear in relation to that. Yes. If a member has passed any additional course of ICAI, is he permitted to print such qualification on visiting card, letterheads, and other stationery? Yes, but not as a designation. In your letterhead, in your stationery, the designation should be chartered accountant only. Other than that, if you have done any additional courses of ICAI like IFRS course you have done or concurrent audit, so you can write that as a prefix. So under section 7, or you all know under section 7 and as well as the clause number 7 of part 1 of schedule 1, you are not allowed to have any designation other than chartered accountant. To print such qualification on the visiting cards and other stationery like a degree of university established by the law in India, recognized by the central government, a title indicating the membership of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, as an institute that has been recognized by the central government or may be recognized by the council. So on your visiting card like this, so suppose if I'm a Rohit, a Rohit Grover, and I'm using the chartered accountant, so I'm using the designation as chartered accountant, comma, you can write IFRS or you can write CS or you can write CML like that. You can prefix the, designation, prefix the names of the courses what you have done, but you are not allowed to use the full designation that we already know. Whether a member in practice can use a designation district governor in his Rotary visiting card along with the term chartered accountant, again you will be guilty of professional misconduct under clause number 7 of part 1 of schedule 1, because other than chartered accountant, other designation is not allowed. The member who is in practice cannot use a designation in a Rotary along with the chartered accountant. Clause 7, member is permitted to use a degree of university. If you want, you can write it as a prefix later on, suffix later on, but you are not allowed to use it as a designation other than chartered accountant, right? Can a chartered accountant in practice agree to select and recruit personal conduct during the training period, work studies for and on the behalf of the client? Yes. Under the management consultancy and other services, section 2 subsection 2 clause 4, you are allowed to do that. Yes. So whether a member can act as an insurance agent and arrange business for the insurance company? No, you can act as a consultant to the insurance agent, and that too only those insurance advisory services which are given under IRDA Act 1999. No, member in practice is not permitted. So no, member in practice is not allowed. Member in practice is not allowed to practice in the form of insurance agent, or you cannot arrange business for the insurance company. No, that is not allowed. Agency function is not allowed basically, right? Okay. So you can see that no member in practice is permitted. No, a member in practice is permitted to render insurance, financial advisory services only. It is not permissible for a member to do any kind of marketing or business procurement for any insurance company. Their services are limited to professional services in the form of advisory and consultancy services. Whether the code of ethics is applicable outside India? Code of ethics is applicable to all the members of ICAI, whether they are in India or outside India. Remember one thing, the code of ethics are instituted to all the members even outside India. Can a company formed by a CA in practice accept fees in percentage term relating to placement consultancy services provided to their client? Can a company formed by CAs in practice, can a company formed by CAs in practice accept fees in percentage term relating to placement of consultancy services provided to their client? You can say that this is nothing but going to be guilty of professional misconduct. Um, CTC, you are placing a person to the company. See, management consultancy companies floated. You all know that management consultancy companies, MCCs, can be floated by the practicing chartered accountant, and in the MCCs, you are not allowed to provide any statutory audit services. You can only provide MCOS services, right or not? So, management consultancy companies floated by the practicing CAs receive remuneration from an employer based on percentage of annual CTC of the candidate while providing services relating to recruitment or placement of such candidate, as only clause 6 and 7 of the part 1 of schedule 1 to the chartered accountants act are applicable to such companies. Individual practicing chartered accountants or their firms are not permitted for the same, as the provision of clause 10 of part 1 of the first schedule of the C Act 1949. So basically contingency, yes, clause number 10 will be affected here. Why the clause number 10 will be affected here? Charging the fees on the basis of percentage of profits, or charging the fees on the basis of contingent events, right? Now, can addresses of office or residence be printed on official cards printed for office bearers of ICAI? Can the addresses of the office or the residence to be printed on official cards printed for office bearers? So remember one thing, office bearer cards is going to be printed by the institute only, and when the institute is printing the office bearer cards and their addresses, then only the address of the office bearer, that is the institute where they're working, that only is required to be printed. Your personal firm address is not allowed to be printed. So member of the council, the chairman, vice chairman of the committees of council, member of the regional councils, and the member of management committee of branches may print either their residential addresses or official addresses, including the telephone fax, without mentioning their firm's name on the back side of the visiting card. So if you want, you can mention your residential addresses, you can mention your office addresses, but you are not allowed to mention your firm name, because these are the visiting cards relating to your office bearer positions. Are you getting the point? Yes. So whether the code of ethics applicable to the members practicing outside India, whether the code of ethics applicable to the members practicing outside India? No. Code of ethics is applicable to the, now see, you will find the code of ethics is applicable outside India. Yes, to all the members, whether they are in India or outside India. But is it applicable to the members practicing outside India? This is different question. No, it does not. It doesn't. Right? Next one. What if he's a practicing in Jammu and Kashmir? Yes, Jammu and Kashmir is a part of India, so yes, it is applicable. Can a chartered accountant in practice share his fees with the government in respect of government audit? Can a chartered accountant in practice share his fees with the government? Can a chartered accountant in practice share his fees with the government with respect to government audit? Okay. The institute came across certain circulars or orders issued by the registrar of various state cooperative societies, where it has been mentioned that certain amount of audit fees is payable to the concerned state government, and the auditor has to deposit percentage of his audit fees in the state treasury by prescribed challan with the prescribed time of the receipt of the audit fees. In the view of above, the council considered the issue, and while noting that the government is asking auditors to deposit such percentage of their audit fees for recovering the administrative and other expenses incurred in the process, the council decided that as such there is no bar the code of ethics to accept such assignment where a percentage of professional fees is deducted by the government to meet the administrative and other expenditure. Right? So can a chartered accountant in practice secure any professional business through the services of the person who is not his employee or a partner? No. Then in that case you are guilty of professional misconduct under clause number 5. We all know. Yes, you are not allowed to secure a professional work from a person other than your other than your member, other than your partner, or other than your employee. who is not an employee or who is not his partner, any profession. So you can write here clause 5 part 1 schedule 1. What should be the size of the signboard for the office? What should be the size of the signboard for the office? There's no particular measurements given, but you can say that it should not be extra large. So with regard to the size of the signboard for his office, a member can put up, it is a matter in which the member should exercise their own discretion and good taste. The size of the signboard should be reasonable. That's what. But at the end of the day, as you all know that you are not allowed to use any glittering colors or glowing signs and all. Use of glow signs and lights on the large size boards as is used by the traders or shopkeeper would not be proper. A member can have a name board at the place of his residence with the designation of chartered accountant, provided the nameplate or the name board of the individual member and not the firm. That we all know that you can have a signboard at your office, then the office signboard pay you can have the name of the firm. But if the same signboard you are hanging in your residential place, at the residential place, what is the restriction? You are not allowed to have the name of the firm on that. Clear? Yes. So can a member publish a change in partnership or change in address of practice and telephone number? Yes. A bare statement of facts, if you are advertising, that will not amount to any kind of soliciting. So bare statement of facts is allowed. So yes, a member can publish a change in the partnership or change in address of the telephone. Such announcement should be limited to the bare statement of facts and consideration given to the appropriateness, right? That I already told you. Whether the members are required to intimate his website address to the institute. Website address is not required to be intimated to the institute, but yes, the date up to which it is updated, that is required to be intimated to the institute. No, members are not required to intimate the website address to the institute. However, the website has to comply with the guidelines issued by the institute in this regard regarding to submit name of the website in the annual information statement filed with the institute about his membership and form. Whether the office of a chartered accountant is permitted to go in for ISO 9000 2000 certification or other certifications of similar, yes, there is no bar in that. So yes, there is no bar for member to go for ISO certification or other similar certification. However, the member cannot use the expression ISO certified on his professional documents because that will be a designation other than chartered accountant, right? Or not, that will give a unnecessary professional attainment to the outside word that you are ISO certified. You are allowed to have, but you are not allowed to have it printed on your stationery items. Can a chartered accountant in practice accept original professional work emanating from the client introduced to him by the another member? No. Can a chartered accountant in practice accept the original professional work emanating from the client introduced to him by the another member? No, you are not allowed. That is not at all ethical. So no, a chartered accountant should not accept the original professional work emanating from a client introduced to him by the another member. If any professional work of such client comes to him directly, it should be his duty to ask the client that he should come through the other member dealing generally with his original work. That is what I think it is unethical, it is disrespectful that you are doing the original work of the client whom you were introduced by the some other chartered accountant. So it is completely unethical in that case, right? Whether sponsorships or prizes can be instituted in the name of chartered accountants firm. In the name of chartered accountants firm, whether the sponsorships or prizes, as such there is no such kind of thing until unless it is not soliciting or it is not advertising your professional attainments. I don't think so that there should be any kind of a restriction on that. So see, yes, as per the CA Act, it is not objectionable to the institute prices in the name of Institute Chartered Accountant, and also the firm's name provided designation Chartered Accountant is not indicated in the price, and the clause relating to advertisement and publicity are to be complied with. That's what soliciting and clause number 6 and 7 you have to take care of. Otherwise, there is no problem in instituting any such kind of thing. Can a chartered accountant in practice or a firm of chartered accountant post the particulars of himself or itself on a website? Yes, that is as per the ICAI website guidelines only. So you are allowed to post about yourself and the firm of your practice. So there is no problem in this question. Whether the information contained in the website of a chartered accountant or the chartered accountant firm can be circulated on their own or through email or by any other mode or technique? No. it should not be on the push model, whether the whole website should run on a pull model. It is not allowed to be run on a push model. So in such cases, automatically sending the emails, automatically sending any kind of information or circulation, that is not allowed. So code of ethics provide the chartered accountants and the chartered accountant firm should ensure that none of the information contained in the website be circulated on their own or by any other mode technique except on a pull model. The chartered accountants or the chartered accountant firm should ensure their websites are run on pull model, not the push model technology, to ensure that any person who wishes to locate the chartered accountant or chartered accountant firm would only have an access to the information. Information should be provided on the basis of specific pull request. Automatically pop-ups are not allowed relating to your website. Now relating to your website, only if the any particular client wants to understand about the particular provision or particular services which you are able to render, then in that case it should be always remember, website is always based on pull model. So automatic pop-ups are not allowed in such case of website. Clear everyone? Okay. Can a member put up his photographs on the website? Yes, passport size is allowed, not more than that. Whether a member in practice is permitted to respond to the announcement for empanelment for allotment of audit and other professional work and court fees on inquiries being received. Whether a member in practice is permitted to respond to the announcement for empanelment of allotment of audit and other professional and court fees on the inquiries being received. So on the tenders, yes, you are allowed to respond in that. It has been clarified that if an announcements are made for the empanelment of government, corporation, court, society, banks and institute, the member may respond to such announcement provided the existence of panel is within his knowledge. The council has further clarified that quotations of the fees can be sent if the inquiries are received by the members in this regard. Right? Can a chartered accountant in practice seek professional work from his professional colleagues? Yes, a CA in practice can solicit the work from another CA in practice. That is allowed under clause number 6. So yes, it is allowed. Whether the words chartered accountants and the name of the city after the name of the members of the institute be mentioned in the articles contributed by such members and published in the institute's journal? Yes, it is allowed. No problem with that relating to general guidelines under the clause number 6 of part 1 of schedule 1. Right? Okay. Can a member or a firm advertise his or its services? You can advertise, but it should be on pull model. I think it should be on pull model. Can a member of, sorry, not on website. Can a member or a firm advertise his or its services? Maybe service bare statement of facts. If that services are, just you are telling that we are into auditing services, accounting services. So bare statement of facts. I think it is allowed. Yes. If a member if the member is a partner in more than one firm, is it permissible to print the names of all the firms on visiting cards, letterhead, stationery, etc.? Yes. There is no prohibition under clause number 7. If you are a partner in the multiple firms, you can print the names of all the firms on your visiting cards, letterheads and all. No issues with that. Whether the chartered accountant or a firm is permitted to use logo on the letterheads or stationery? No. Logos are not allowed. Logos are prohibited. Logos are prohibited, guys. वो simple CA logo, that blue and green color logo, can be allowed to the members, but a logo of your own design or any particular color or any form or style, that is not allowed, right? Can a member in practice solicit clients or the professional work by advertisement? Can a member in practice solicit clients or a professional work by advertisement? No. Clause number 6 and 7 both will be applicable to you, right or not? But two exceptions are there. You can solicit the work from another practicing CA, and at the same point of time you are allowed to give the reply to the tenders, so that is allowed. If a member has passed any additional course of ICA, is he permitted to print such qualification on visiting card, letterhead and the stationery? As per clause number 7, After writing the designation called chartered accountant, you can prefix the other qualifications if you want. Are you getting the word? But remember one thing, you are not allowed to use a full designation. You are only allowed to suffix like ISA, Information System Auditor. Information System Auditor, full-fledged designation is not allowed. That is not allowed. ISA is allowed. Whether public notice published in the newspaper by a chartered accountant individually jointly with an advocate in respect of acquirement of land by their client is permitted. Yes, you can give the newspaper advertisement on the behalf of your client. That is allowed under clause number 7 of part 1 of schedule first. Whether a chartered accountant in practice can use the expression income tax consultant, cost consultant, compensated. No, guilty under clause number 7 of part 1 of schedule 1. So that is using the designation other than chartered accountant. You are not allowed. Not allowed here. Can a chartered accountant in practice also practice as an advocate? Yes, you can practice as an advocate, but remember one thing, you need to take the permission from either of the council. If you are a practicing CA, you need to take the permission from the Bar Council of India. If you are a practicing lawyer, you need to take the permission from the ICA and try to maintain the separate stationery, separate nameplate for the same. As direction given by under part 7, clause number 7 of part 1, that a chartered accountant in practice who is otherwise eligible may practice as an advocate subject to the permission of Bar Council, but in such cases, they should not use the designation chartered accountant in respect of the matters involving the practice as an advocate. In respect of other matters, they should use the word called chartered accountant, but they should not use the word called chartered accountant and advocate simultaneously. That is what I am trying to tell you. Separate stationery, separate nameplate should be made. Simultaneously put together, chartered accountant and advocate both are not allowed to be used. Clear? Okay, chalo. Whether a chartered accountant in practice can use a designation corporate lawyer? No. A designation other than chartered accountant is not allowed. Can a chartered accountant in practice firm give advertisement in the press? You can give the advertisement in the press. There is no problem in giving the advertisement in the press. But yes, if you're giving the advertisement in the press, it should be just clearly mentioning out the bare statement of facts and your services. You are not giving any kind of expression in the advertisement by which your professional attainments are coming out of it. So members may advertisement to write up setting out the services provided by him or his firm particulars. Yes, advertisement guidelines issued by the council. So that we have already discussed, that write up guidelines. Schedule to the provides that a chartered accountant in practice cannot give advertisement in the press. However, a special exemption has been made as regard publication of the name and address of the firm or that of the member or that of his firm with the description chartered accountants in an advertisement appearing in the press in the circumstance given below, provided that the advertisement is not displayed more prominently than in usual. That is what your professional attainment should not come. It should not be having any bolder than the substance of the advertisement. Yes, advertisement for recruiting the staff, these kind of advertisements are allowed. Advertisement inserted on the behalf of client, these are allowed. Advertisements for the sale of business or property by the member acting in a professional capacity as a trustee, liquidator, receiver allowed. When advertising for staff, it is desirable that members should avoid the expression such as well-known firm. So these kind of words like well-known, a professional firm, the best firm, any such kind of professional attainment which is getting depicted, these kind of things you should try to avoid when you are giving the advertisements, right? Next point, whether a member can appear on television or a radio or give lectures at forums. Yes, you can appear on a television or give the lectures on the forum, but make sure that you can take your name, you can take your designation, but you are not allowed to take the name of your firm, right or not? May appear on the television or radio giving lectures, or may give his name, describe himself as a chartered accountant, special qualification, specialized knowledge directly, but no reference should be made in case of practicing member to the name and address of the service of his firm. What he may say or write must not be promotional and must not be an objective professional view of a topic under the consideration. Whether the companies in which chartered accountants have been appointed as a directors on their board can publish description about the chartered accountant's expertise, specialization, knowledge in a particular field and appellations or adjectives to their names in the prospectus. So council as per clause number 6 and 7 has already cleared that if you are working as a director in a particular company, then your designation and your name is allowed, right or not? Often about the chartered accountants expertise, council's attention has been drawn to the fact that more and more companies are appointing chartered accountants to permission in order that inclusion of the name of the member of the institute in the prospectus or the public communication issued by the company in which the member is a director does not contravene the above noted provisions. It is necessary that the member should take necessary steps to ensure that such prospectus or public announcement or public communication do not advertise his professional attainment. Until unless you are not advertising your professional attainment, till that time I don't think so that there is any problem relating to clause number 6 and clause number 7, the council. So you can just have a look at it. It is, by the way, given under our guidelines, advertising guidelines. Each and every question which I am talking about in front of you is nothing but the questions which are given in your relating to your professional. Nothing is going to be context out of the box. Can a chartered accountant advertise his professional attainments or services? No. Guilty, clause number 7 directly. So पूरा clause number 7 चिपका के आ जाना, right? Next one. So, and you all know that clause number 6 is always mostly accompanied by the clause number 6 and 7 both put to come together. So make sure that when you're giving the information about the clause number 7, little bit of hint of clause number 6 also it is recommended to write in the examination. Whether a chartered accountant in practice can give the public interviews and whether he can furnish details about himself or his firm in such interview. No, about himself you can. You can tell your name, you can tell your designation, but you are not supposed to take up the name of your firm. Otherwise, you are guilty of professional misconduct under clause number 6 and 7 of the first schedule. Right? It is your responsibility to ensure that the interviewer is not taking up your name. Next point. Can a member in practice indicate in his book or article authored or contribute published by him his association with any firm of the chartered accountant? No. Your firm's name is not allowed. Whether communication with the previous auditor is necessary in case of appointment as a statutory auditor by the nationalized and other banks, let it be any government, non-government, private, public, listed, any kind of audit. Communication with the previous auditor is must, right? Whether communication by the incoming auditor is mandatory with the previous auditor in respect of various audit assignments like concurrent audit. Yes, any kind of audit, previous communication with the auditor is mandatory. Clear? Next one. Whether a chartered accountant will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he accepts his appointment as an auditor immediately after intimating. Whether a chartered accountant will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he accepts his appointment as an auditor immediately after intimating his appointment over phone to the previous auditor. So he has intimated his appointment to the previous auditor over the phone, and immediately he is starting accepting the appointment. I think yes, he will be guilty. Why? Because you need to get an evidence in writing that the previous auditor does not have any objection in you becoming the new auditor for this particular firm. Are you getting the point? So yes, the member would be held guilty of professional misconduct for the following reason. They had failed to communicate with the retiring auditor in writing. Yes, communication in writing, that is a major point. Yes. And he did not wait for a reasonable length of time for a reply to be received from him. Yes, you are guilty of professional misconduct. Whether posting of the letter under certificate of posting, not allowed. Not allowed. Only registered post with acknowledgement due is allowed. That we already know an answer. Registered acknowledgement due is only allowed. Whether the chartered accountant who is appointed as a tax auditor for conducting the special audit under the Income Tax Act is required to communicate with the statutory auditor. See, with the statutory auditor, no. It would be, see, it is not mandatory. You can say that it is recommendatory. Sometimes some things are not mandatory, they are recommendatory. So recommendatory in the sense it is a good practice if you communicate with the statutory auditor relating to your appointment. Yes, council direction under clause 8 to the act prescribe that it would be healthy practice if a tax auditor appointed for conducting special audit and income tax communicate with the member who has conducted the statutory auditor. So healthy practice they are saying. Whether it is obligatory for the auditor appointed to conduct a special audit under section 233A of the Companies Act to communicate with the previous auditor who has conducted the regular audit for the previous audit covered by the special audit. Answer is no. So if you are a cost auditor and the previous auditor was the first of all, though 233A section is relating to Companies Act. I think 233 is nothing but section number 148 of Companies Act 2013 now. Provision of, sorry, special audit. Provision of special audit has been removed. Yeah. Special auditor. Yes. If the company is not running on the sound business principles. Yes. I forgot. Special audit concept though has been removed first of all. So this question you can leave for that purpose. Can a practicing chartered accountant accept a position as an auditor previously held by some another chartered accountant? Can a practicing chartered accountant accept a position as an auditor previously held by some another chartered accountant in such condition as to constitute undercutting? Yes, that depends upon your case. If the previous auditor left due to the undercutting of the fees, that purely depends upon your judgment whether you want to uh, take up the assignment or not. So prior to the amendment in the undercutting was a violative, then goal clause after the 2000 the provision has been repealed, hence it is not violative. That's what you can, no issues with that. So if the previous auditor left due to the undercutting of the fees and you are ready to accept that undercutting fees, then in that case there's no problem if you want to accept it, right? So whether a chartered accountant can accept an appointment as an auditor of the company without first ascertaining it from whether the requirement of section number 40 of the Companies Act in respect, answer is no. You are guilty of professional misconduct under clause number 9 otherwise. Section number 139, that is his appointment, and section number 140, other auditors removal, must be fully complied with Companies Act. Otherwise, you are guilty of professional misconduct under clause number 9. Whether the statutory auditor can be appointed in the adjourned meeting in place of the existing statutory auditor where no special notice for the removal or replacement for the retiring is received at the time of the original meeting. No, non-compliance of 140, therefore not allowed. This is what your answer is going to be, not allowed. So if you really want to read out the whole answer, make sure that you are stopping the video there itself only and you are nothing but watching the whole, reading the whole answer. Whether a chartered accountant or a firm of chartered accountant can charge and offer to charge professional fees based on the percentage of turnover, not allowed, guilty under professional misconduct under clause number 10. So these are the various simple questions. CA Dalai, a chartered accountant, prepared a project report for one of his clients to obtain bank finance long term or rupees 50 lakhs from a commercial when consequent to the sanction of the loan by the bank. CA Dalai raised a bill for his services at the 2% of the loan sanction. 2% of the loan sanction. So 2% of the loan sanction. Okay. Clause 10 तो आएगा. Clause 10 तो correctly written. Contingent upon the. However, this restriction is not applicable where the payment is permitted by the Chartered Accountant. The Council of Institute has framed regulation number 192, which exempts certain professional services from operation of clause number 10. Yes, there are some services which are allowed if you are working as a liquidator, if you are helping the company in raising the fundraising. So I think in such cases you are allowed, but none of the 7 to 8 points which are given in the clause number 10 are talking about a percentage on loan basis. So either if you have helped the cost optimization, fundraising, or liquidator, valuer, loss and assessor, in such cases you are allowed. So yes, he is guilty of professional misconduct under clause 10. Whether the chartered accountant in practice is entitled to accept the teaching assignment. Yes, you are allowed to entitled to accept the teaching assignment under the institutes of under the private tutorship under the organization of ICA Council, provided you are not exceeding 25 hours in a week. Taken together, do not exceed 25 hours in a week. That is RTP's November 2020 question also. This is the same question which has been asked in RTP November 2020, right? Now, CA Punter, who is leading income tax practitioner and consultant in Jaipur, is also trading in derivatives. Permission required. Clause number 11, special permission. Guilty if he has not taken the permission. So yes. Whether a member in practice can do the internal audit and writing of the books of accounts of the client who is a statutory whose he is a statutory auditor. No, it is prohibited. Are you getting the point? That affects your independence. Damn it. You are not allowed to do the internal audit if you are a statutory auditor of a company. So that's a very simple question. Whether a member in practice can conduct concurrent audit and quality review of the books of accounts of the client whose is a statutory audit. Concurrent audit and the assignment of quality review of the same entity cannot be taken simultaneously, as the concurrent audit being a kind of internal audit and the quality review being a kind of statutory audit undertaken simultaneously prohibited. So no, these both the questions are not allowed. I think they are the good deserving questions which may come in the examination. What will be the procedure where a member is guilty of charges both under the first schedule and second schedule? If you are guilty of charges under both the first schedule and second schedule, your case of professional misconduct or other misconduct will be taken by the disciplinary committee. So we all know member is excusable is same which is followed by the misconduct under the second schedule. Yes, disciplinary committee. Whether a chartered accountant whether a chartered accountant firm can accept the branch audit of a bank when a partner has taken a loan from any other branch of the same bank. So independence of the auditor can neither be diluted nor scope of left for dilution in the eyes of stakeholder. The term indebtedness must be continued to be in relation to any entity, not in relation to a branch. Thus, if a partner has taken the loan from any of the other branch, the firm is not allowed to do the audit of another branch. So past examination questions. So let us see what is your answer. These are the questions which are being given, and after these questions, I think how many questions are there? Approximately 118 questions are there. Along with that, 118 answers also you will find. Let me see, 118 answers are also there or not. Yes, you will find 118 answers. So right, so let us see how many questions we can do. So if you want, I will give this file also along with that thing, so that you can access this file also. If you want, you can access this file. I will attach this file also with the YouTube video. When it will get uploaded, I will make sure that the link to this file download this file also is being provided along with that, right? So these are the past year questions, as many practice you can do in these particular questions. So let us see. Mr. X is a practicing CA, Mr. Y is a practicing advocate representing matters in the court of law. X and Y decided to help each other in the matters involving their professional expertise. Accordingly, Mr. X recommends Mr. V in all litigation matters, and Y consults X in all matters relating to finance, comes to him in arguing varying cases. Consequently, they started sharing profits of their professional work. Yes, they are allowed, as they are not guilty under professional misconduct, because it is clause number 3 sharing, sorry, clause number 2 part 1, clause number 2 part 1 of schedule 1. That is what your answer is. So right, let us see whether the first answer given is correct or not. Just give me 1 second. Page number Not guilty. Yes. Okay, so let us understand the question number 2. A practicing chartered accountant. A practicing chartered accountant gave 50% of the audit fees received by him to the L, who was not a chartered accountant, under the nomenclature of the office allowance, and such an arrangement continued for a number of years. So please tell me, he is giving 50% of his audit fees to the L, who was not a chartered accountant, under the nomenclature of office allowance. So in this case, question number 2 mein, he is guilty. Here he is guilty. So all the answers are also provided at the end. So in case you want the answers, the all answers also will be given to you at the end. Question number 3. Mr. Ankit, who passed his CA examination of ICA on 18 July 2015, had started his practice from 15 August 2015. On 16 August 2015, one candidate approached him for articleship. Mr. Ankit decided to give 1%. So again, and the ICA has sent a letter to Mr. Ankit objecting the payment of 1%. Mr. Ankit replies stating the percentage 1 over and above stipend to help the article. No, you are guilty. Here also you are guilty under 211. Here also you are guilty under 211. You are not allowed to share your any kind of emoluments with anybody. Yes, under 211. Mr. Q, a qualified chartered accountant in practice as proprietor, died in the road accident. His widow sold the practice to her husband to another chartered accountant in practice for 5 lakh rupees. So yes, you are allowed, but there are some conditions. You need to inform the institute, and you need to make sure that it must be sold within 1 year. If these two conditions are satisfied, then in that case, you can do it under clause 2, schedule 1, part 1, right? So you are allowed for the question number 2, permissible. So here you can write the answer is permissible, right? So these are the various set of questions are there. So what I want you all guys is to have a look at this, all the questions sincerely. So I'm going to attach this file also along with the, what to say, this particular video. So make sure that you are making the maximum use of this video, right? So thank you so much for watching this video. So I welcome you all again to the Unacademy live CA final, and day after tomorrow definitely we are going to come live on Unacademy live CA final channel. So thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video.